Welcome to The Sound, KQAL-FM's weekly behind-the-scenes look at Midwestern-made music. From writing and recording to distribution and promotion, The Sound is your source for new releases and exclusive interviews from Midwestern artists. Support for The Sound is made possible by a grant from the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. Rolling.
Tonight on The Sound, we dive deep into the dream pop sounds of Sleeping Jesus with their latest album, Leave the Party Early. Based out of Winona, Nick takes on his new album with pop-electronica style sounds. This debut album features tracks with new styles, so whether you're on the dance floor or working your 9 to 5, Leave the Party Early will fit all occasions. I'm Max Ackman, and up next is Nick Elstad from Sleeping Jesus, tonight on The Sound. That was Get Up by Sleeping Jesus from Minneapolis, and tonight I have Nick on the phone with us today. Nick, how are you doing today?
Doing good, thank you.
Good, awesome. You have a new album that just released on Monday called Leave the Party Early. That released Monday, July 25th. So with that recent album, where did the ideas kind of stem from, Leave the Party Early? What was your creative process behind that?
Well, when we started writing songs for the album a couple years ago now, we had like a handful of them. We started the recording process on some of them, and I think there was still a few that were maybe not quite written yet for the album, but the title track on the album, Leave the Party Early, has the lyrics, Leave the Party Early, and Tyler, our drummer, pointed out that would be a really cool, fitting title for the album. So that's kind of where the name came from.
Okay, cool. You said you're living in Minneapolis now. Do you find a lot of new inspiration, like living in Minneapolis with the new music scene there? And kind of how has that music style changed your music sense?
For sure. Yeah, so I moved up here during like right at the start of the pandemic. So it was like a kind of a weird time to be moving to a new city.
Sure.
Uh, so there was a lot of time spent at home, and I didn't really get to go out and experience too much of the scene right away and like see a lot of other bands, but I was able to, you know, still learn about other groups and producers and other music people in the city through the internet, which was really cool. And that like really inspired me, seeing all the different releases that were coming out of the city with so many different styles and such great production.
Yeah.
So that's been really inspiring to be now living up here and now being able to go to shows, which is really cool that stuff's happening again.
Yeah, right.
And I feel like that just the amount that of music that's created in the Twin Cities is like inspiring and keeps pushing you to, you know, work harder at your own music, which is really cool.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you been out to a few more shows now that things are kind of opened up now?
Yeah, it's been really nice. I've been going to shows at First Avenue and Turf Club and Ice House and all the other fun spots in town too. It's been great.
Sure. Awesome. And then for this new album too, was there kind of a new writing style or like a new recording style that you used? I see this is the third album release. Is that correct?
So it's our first album, first full length album. We started releasing EPs like back in 2016, and then another one in 2017. Then we did a few singles in that time, but for the last 3 or 4 years, it's kind of been like the goal to like put our first album out. And we did this with producer Mike Noyce, who lives in Minneapolis now too.
Okay.
When we did our single Lay with him back in 2018, released in 2019. That's when we first met him. We were connected to him from a friend of ours, Justin Green, who used to own a studio in Eau Claire. He invited Mike in to do a session with us, and that's kind of how that relationship started. And after that, we just became good friends with Mike, and us and Mike thought it would be really cool to do a album together, which we were really stoked on because we really liked working with him.
Yeah.
And so that's how that relationship sort of started, and we took a lot of cues from him, learned a lot of things in the studio from him. We did a lot of the recording at home and at his home studio. He was working out of a space in Milwaukee before, but he moved to Minneapolis over the last year, and I was able to spend a lot of time with him and finish up the mixing side of things like through the last year after he moved here.
Okay. Very cool. So it's a little bit of home studio work, but it's the polished and pearled final project that it is today, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like, how can we make this like pop record out of our bedrooms, basically.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we are going to head on over to the next track here. I'm here with Nick from Sleeping Jesus, and up next is Calm Down It's Morning, right here on 89.5 KQAL. That was Calm Down, It's Morning by Sleeping Jesus from Minneapolis. And tonight I have Nick on the phone with us today. So Nick, we just got done talking about your recording process, how you were recording from some at-home studios in Minneapolis. I wanted to kind of dive into the sound here. So this album features like some electronic kind of technical sounds. They're very interesting, and I like it a lot. When you were recording this, what kind of instruments did you use for it, and kind of like the softwares that went into editing these sounds? Because it's a very cool sound. I don't hear a ton of music like that today, so I kind of wanted to ask, like, how did you stumble upon this sound in music?
Yeah, thank you. A lot of it was, first and foremost, it was, I would like start with a song and, record a basic demo at home, and then sort of bring it to the guys and the rest of the band. And, we'd change things that I had done, or we would add things that were, missing, and sort of build the demos out that way. But then we took a step further with Mike, and did tracking with him, and sort of like, how can we deconstruct these songs to be, something a little stranger, a little weirder, a little more unique. So a lot of that influence is like, Mike helping us push ourselves to come up with parts that we maybe wouldn't have ever came up with before on our own.
Sure.
Trying to think outside the box. Mike as a producer is influenced by a lot of like pop music. I know one of his favorite artists is like Rihanna, and he just likes all sorts of different things from hip hop to pop. And so a lot of like maybe the experimental sounds, you might say, are like him being creative with like what we've put down, like him reinterpreting what we've played and do a new way.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Mike kind of has a lot of influence with you guys with creating your new sounds and kind of that new style with your music, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. He's like as much of a player on the album as he is a mixer or producer. He has a lot of his sound is definitely on this album.
Cool. Very cool. And then did you say, so Mike, is he the one who produced and mixed this album then?
Yes, he is.
Before we continue, let's take a quick break and listen to the next song off the album. So up next is New Year's by Sleeping Jesus, and you're listening to it live right here on 89.5 KQAL.
I've been all
I saw in one of your music videos, you're working with like a drum pad for your percussion sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you like using that kind of equipment for mixing, or as far as like the electronic and or natural drums, do you have like a preference between the two of those?
Well, I started getting into that more as like a necessity because I just didn't have the space or capacity to really record live drums when I was living in Winona.
Okay.
And so I started learning that through like Ableton. But as I moved to Minneapolis, I did have space to record drums, and I never actually really did it because I had grown to really like using like sample drums and programming drums. It's just a different way of working, and it can be a more efficient way. I don't think it works for everything. Obviously, it doesn't work for every type of music. Some types of music really call for live drums.
Sure.
And on our album, it's all the drums are played by Tyler Steinley, our drummer. But some of the sounds were maybe resampled or retriggered using like more electronic styles of drum sounds. But what you're hearing is actually what he played.
Oh, cool.
And sometimes maybe reorganized or whatever, however us or Mike saw fit for the song.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
And so you said Tyler is the drummer.
Mm-hmm.
It says here that you were the writer, producer, mixer, and master of these albums, or sorry, the EPs. So did you hire like a couple new members to the band?
Well, the first EP I produced and mixed, I guess you could say, on my own, although I didn't really know what I was doing.
Sure.
And then my friend Matt Olson mastered that. And by the second EP, I recorded with Zach Hollander up at the Pearl Studio in Minneapolis, and he mixed that. And then that was mastered by someone else as well. So since the second EP, I haven't taken on that role as mixing or anything. So that's been in other people's hands since then.
Cool. So it's you've kind of grown a little bit and not had so much on the plate.
Yeah, it's right away it was like how it was kind of me proving to myself, can I do this on my own?
Sure.
But that right around that time was when other members started joining the band. Tyler, and then Andy came later, and Seamus came later, and Dante came later. But the more I got to know those guys, and like putting my trust in them, it's a lot more fun to have it be a collaborative effort like it is now. Like, it's very much a band. This album is very much a project, or like a piece by all of us. It's no longer, just me, which I think is really fun and cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's very cool to hear. All right, so we are going to head into our next track here. I'm here with Nick from Sleeping Jesus, and up next is Running Backwards, right here on 89.5 KQAL.
I've been good to mix
That was Running Backwards by Sleeping Jesus from Minneapolis, and tonight I have Nick on the phone with us today. The Running Backwards music video is actually out too. That kind of has like a vintage kind of 80s feel to it. I like the music video too. I believe was that the one that was shot at Ed's, right?
Yeah, that was shot at No Name in Winona during, I guess it was New Year's Eve 2021 going into 2022. So
okay,
shot that night by our good friend Harrison McCormick from Winona.
Cool. I like the editing style on it a lot. There's that intro gives like a very strong like 80s like kind of saga intro to it. And then even like the cuts and the transitions to it, I thought were very awesome. Very,
thank
very
you.
Unique.
That is all Harrison.
Okay. Have you shot other music videos with Harrison before, or is he kind of like newer?
Yeah, that's I've known Harrison for a few years at least, but that was like the first project that we had worked on together, and we've since we did that, we did some live sessions with him, one that was released back in June for our song Outside, and then we've done some photo work with him, so it's been really cool to get to know him and work on stuff with him. He's a really creative mind and a really good storyteller, so it's a lot of fun to work with him.
Good. And so you said he also does like your photography work too?
He's done some of it. Yeah, we did some photos with him back in April, actually, right around the time of Midwest Music Fest. And one of the photos is actually on the inside of the physical albums, and it also
cool.
features some illustrations by artist Nick Elstad, who did the album design. So it's kind of a fun collaboration.
Cool. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I was watching another one of your music videos, the Lay music video, and I noticed on the intro, there's a commercial, and there's a joke about being like, "Are you sad? Are you lonely?" And it's in reference to like a VR headset. I thought it was hilarious because I actually used to have a VR headset myself, and I was like, "Am I sad? Am I lonely?" And so I just kind of wanted like your thoughts on that. Do you think like the VR headsets, are those kind of getting too much nowadays? Like, do you think the technology is kind of...
I don't really know. I've actually never used a VR headset. That was like, how can we picked that up at like Goodwill, and we were like, how can we make this music video like a little bit more like dystopian?
Okay.
So I think there maybe is like an element of like being disconnected from reality with VR, obviously virtual reality, but I don't know. It's not something I've really ever used, so I can't say.
Well, cool. I'm here with Nick from Sleeping Jesus, and up next is Outside right here on 89.5 KQAL.
There's no one left to take you home. All your friends are leaving. Working 9 to 5 and driving home. Lonely, living out. Call me up and we can
That was Outside by Sleeping Jesus from Minneapolis. And tonight I have Nick on the phone with us today. So Nick, just what's up next for Sleeping Jesus? Do you have any big plans for like Minneapolis or even in Winona here? Do you have any upcoming plans?
Kind of what's up next for us is a release show happening later this summer in Minneapolis. We're really excited about that. And we'll also be doing a release show at No Name in Winona later this fall. So those are kind of our two big next exciting things. But then there's some touring that's going to happen, later on in the fall, late fall for us. So we're excited about that too. It's been a long time since we've really been out of Minneapolis or Minnesota or Wisconsin with the pandemic. It's been hard to try to plan any sort of tour. So we're really excited to get back to that.
Awesome. And so you mentioned that would be a tour like outside of the Minnesota region, right?
Yeah, that'll be, and we'll be going to the East Coast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
It is.
And that would be a album release for the Leave the Party Early album.
Yeah, it's sort of a tour in support of the album.
Awesome. All right. Well, Nick, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. It was very awesome to hear from you. And Nick's got his latest album release, Leave the Party Early, with Sleeping Jesus. If you want to find Nick on any of his other social medias, I believe your website is the easiest to find you at, right?
Yeah, it's just sleepingjesusmusic.com.
And then also on his Bandcamp page, as well as all the streaming services to listen to the newest album. Again, thank you so much for being on the show. He's got his recent album release, Leave the Party Early, and that released on Monday, July 25th. And we are going to close with the song Leave the Party Early, right here on 89.5 KQAL.
Thought the nights have been so very long.
Thanks again to Nick Elstad for joining us today on The Sound. To hear more from Sleeping Jesus and find their next performance, visit sleepingjesusmusic.com or their social media pages. For more local and regional albums, tune into The Sound every Wednesday night at 6, right here on 89.5 KQAL. You can also listen to The Sound on Spotify, Apple, or by visiting kqal.org. I'm Max Ackman, and we've just heard from Nick Elstad from Sleeping Jesus on The Sound.
Thanks for listening to The Sound. The Sound is produced by KQAL-FM on the campus of Winona State University. Visit us online at kqal.org. Theme music for The Sound provided by Mike Terrell of Fires of Denmark.